welcome back to another live stream repair. We've got most of Mike's parts back out here. They sent their attempted repair in about a weekish or so ago, and we attempted to save it. Unfortunately, we were not successful. I mean, with more time, I'm sure we can figure out exactly what's going on, and I put that amp to the side for a future date where we do have more time to explore. But for now, I want to get Mike a working HomePod back to him. So I've got a spare here for parts. We're just going to get that amp out, give it a little refresh, and put Mike's HomePod back together with it. And then we'll take care of the other repairs that have been waiting. Make sure my cameras are all nice and centered up. I'll take those screws for their power supply. Not that there's anything wrong with this one. I'll put it to the side. Okay, let's see, this amp appears to still be all original. We've got a 42K dated diode on this one, so it's not going to fail and cause no power issues. We won't need to worry about that. Everything else looks good, but we are going to replace those filters since they are still the originals. And ceramic capacitors love to just decay over time and lose their effectiveness at, in this case, the most important job of removing unwanted DC voltage from the audio signal as it passes through the amp, gets amplified, sent to the subwoofer. If there's DC voltage in that, it causes problems. So we'll get those replaced so that we're putting Mike's HomePod together with stuff that'll last as long as we can make it, instead of having to take it back in a few months or maybe even a few years for death farts after doing all this other work for it. If you don't know, that liquid that I put on the board is called flux. Without flux to clean the oxidation off of your solder pads, you will not make a good solder. connection, you'll get what's called a cold solder joint, where it's basically just a mechanical connection of the parts. And it might work temporarily, it might work alright, but it's not good and it won't last. That's when flux does its magic, and as soon as you heat it up, it cleans that oxidation off, and you get a nice, good, quality solder bond. Who's messaging me? Oh, okay. Alright. That blurry, but looks good to me. Yes, sir, they're not going anywhere. Let's get this back together. Ooh, the lurkers here. Welcome. Makes removing all four at one time easy. Oh yeah. It's quite the show when it doesn't go the way I want. Not something I would really recommend everybody go and try and do unless they get the hang of it. It's not exactly easier than doing them one at a time. It just saves me a little bit of time. Alright, I'm going to replace this because it's pretty chewed up and we're actually missing one of the ties, one of the posts for the drawstrings. So, into the bin for that. That kid. I mean, when it's me in her position and I'm trying to control her, it can be frustrating sometimes, but from an observer's perspective, frankly, it's kind of funny how that kid can react to the simplest things. Or even to just nothing sometimes. She's almost 2. And she sure is acting like it. I think I had an extra screw for the amp sitting around. If not, I'll take this back apart, but I'll double check later. For now, let's make sure that this thing even works. Whew. right.
I'm having trouble connecting to... I'm having trouble...
Yeah, you're pretty far away from home, so no chance, but we got this all fixed up. Oh, Christos, welcome. Hello to Greece, wow. Very cool. Okay. Let's get the next one up here. Where's my mouse? Let's take a look now at James. I'll wager a bet they've got no power. Let's see here. All right. It looks like for James here we've got actually not no power, but no base. I scratched up the board trying to get the diode off. And now the positive and negative are touching. Is this fixable? Maybe. If you can clean it up, mask it off, and get them from touching, keep them from touching, maybe. But, frankly, I wouldn't hold my hopes. Maybe what you could do, if you wanted to do an advanced enough repair, you would grind the area away, the damaged area away, and mask it all off, and then install the diode with trace wires remotely. But that's quite involved in more work than I would personally put in. I would just replace the amp board with something else. Alright, so it sounds like we've still got our base. But for how much longer? Hopefully that subwoofer speaker is still good and we won't have to replace it. But that popping that it was making as it turned on and when we unplugged it is quite a bit louder than it should be, so you're obsessed with HomePod fixing as well. Yes, it's quite addictive. Before they got too popular, you could get your hands on a broken HomePod for pretty much next to nothing. fix it up, and voila, you got yourself another excellent speaker to set up anywhere you want around the house in multi-room audio. But word keeps spreading about how relatively easy it is to repair these things, and broken ones for a reasonable price get snapped up real fast now. It's not even by me. That one wanted to play hardball. Well, I got other ways. I got other ways, guy. If I want that display to come off, it's coming off. Thinking of buying a 4-parts HomePod just for fixing. You don't have a hot air station. Yeah, definitely a cheapo hot air station will do the job as long as it can get up to like 475, 500 degrees Celsius. It needs to get pretty hot because the board's gonna soak up a lot of your heat. As for which broken ones to buy, I would suggest ones with no power, since that's usually just the one diode on the amplifier. I always recommend replacing the filters too to keep your subwoofer healthy and those death farts away. But for novice repairs, it's not the easiest thing to do your first time. That said, prior to HomePod repairs, I had 0 micro soldering experience. I had a good old soldering iron, same one actually. Never used a hot air gun or a hot air rework station before. Bought my first broken HomePod, tried it out. I was actually quite surprised at how easy it was from what it seemed. But yeah, ones with no power are good ones. And make sure it actually doesn't power on. A lot of people misconstrue no power for something that clearly powers on. It just boots to blinking volume buttons or some other software issue. Broke 3 and fixed 4. Your record's, your break it record is better than mine, then I'll say that. I've broken a fair more than 3 in my time. Probably a dozen or so. Some of it dumb mistakes, some of it things, learning experiences. But had I not broken some of those, I wouldn't have figured out how to fix other problems. It would just really suck if, you know, you only have a couple of them and you break one, versus, you know, I've got most everything I've got multiples of, in case I break anything or need to do any sanity checks, comparisons between good and bad boards to try to figure a new problem out. We do have a 46K dated diode, so those tend to fail and cause no power. Everything else actually looks great. Even the subwoofer? Well, I'll be danged. It looks like this one's pretty happy. We'll give it some new filters to get rid of that popping as much as we can. Alright, that is pretty good. Yes. Alright. Let's get that diode replaced before it does fail and cause no power. No, we don't have to worry about cleaning this flux up in particular. No isopropyl alcohol on this. I don't actually like to clean these boards unless it's absolutely necessary, because it tends to, it can cause more issues than, just making the board look pretty when it's going to be stuffed into a speaker. This flux in particular is no clean, which means you can leave it around, it's not going to corrode or cause any problems down the road. And as a matter of fact, if we ever have to come in here again in the future, it makes it a little easier. Lots of flux out there is nasty stuff if you leave it around and you don't want to, but this is, aside from the smelly armpits that it eludes, it's pretty good stuff. Oh, thank you. Don't look at the webpage from mobile. It's a mess. I still need to fix the HomePod animation at the top of the site on mobile. The whole thing's kinda sloppy. But I appreciate your compliment. From the perspective of someone that's been staring at its code for years now, tweaking it and fixing things and breaking things. It's quite a mess. I'm surprised it works as well as it does. Huh?
The FTC announced they click to cancel all foreign companies so that you cancel any product that's easily registered. So if you signed up with a click, they'll have to let you cancel with a click.
But they'll just make sign up a lot more difficult.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for right now, current customers that are on things that need to be like emailed or mailed or in person.
Well,
If you
like,
signed up through a click through that, then you're able to cancel it.
how long will it actually take for that to come into effect?
I'm not sure.
Because I got stuff I want to cancel and I can't be bothered to if it's... the convenience it adds right now is worth keeping over the trouble it'd be to cancel it.
So it'll go into effect 180 days after it's published to the Federal Register.
Oh, sick. And for the O-ring, if you can't find... Is the 100 millimeter, is that the inside diameter or the outside diameter? There's no harm in keeping your foam one. It's just a nice solid little long-term upgrade. And or if your foam is deteriorating. 100 millimeter inside diameter. Let me grab my calipers. So if you're looking at a 100 millimeter inside diameter, 4 millimeter thick O-ring, that would, let's see, so and if it's a 4 millimeter, so it's going to be 100 by 108. So it's going to have a 108 millimeter outer diameter. Ooh, I don't know. Oh. Yeah, I think you've even got maybe another 0.5 millimeter of diameter to play with there. That should fit. I suggest the 5 mil thick because it's going to squish enough to create a really good seal and form over any imperfections a little better than a 4 millimeter thick one would. But it should work. I mean, if it's not going to cost you $20-30, I'd say it's worth getting just to try and see. Should I sell these? Like, would people buy these if I sold them? For like, how much do I pay for them? I pay almost $1 for them each, about 60 to 80 cents each. And then shipping would only be a couple bucks, so I mean, well, about international shipping too, I'd have to look into that. There's flat rate shipping, but I mean, at that point, you're paying 15-20 bucks for an O-ring that you can likely find elsewhere for cheaper. But I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt to just throw it up on the shop site and be like, hey, if you're having problems finding one, you can buy one from me. Here's how much. Here you go. I get a lot of people asking me to sell the diodes and the filters too. I might as well throw it all up there. The only thing left would be to include some sort of like screwdriver and pry tool and just sell a straight up like DIY repair kit. but people would still need to get their own hot air station, soldering iron, you know, the expensive tools. Add it all up. Wouldn't have too many people interested in that. But little things here and there makes sense. I think I can do that. What would be really cool would be to partner with someone like iFixit and come up with like a custom screwdriver, like a manual and electric one. Ooh. Because there are some very minor tweaks that I would love to make to this that would make it just the absolute perfect. Ah, true, yeah. You buy it all from one guy, it ends up being a lot cheaper in shipping all combined. That's a good point. Damn, are we gonna be selling hot air stations soon too? I mean, I wouldn't mind partnering with someone to make a nice one. Oh, right. Beautiful. Let's move on to Ken here. They have got no power. Here we go. Nick. Here's my OG. Hello, hello. Alright, let's see if this thing really does have no power. Oh yeah, sure enough. No power. Couple of watts out of the wall. That to me looks like the usual dead diode. Mesh cleaning. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, you can take the whole mesh off. I've got a video on my website. It should be under the clean and customize your mesh section. You can take the whole mesh off, chuck it in your washing machine if you want. I would suggest the delicate settings so it doesn't mess up the layers. I personally have not put it in my washing machine, but others have, and they use OxyClean, and that works great. Alternatively, if you don't want to take the mesh off, yes, 99% isopropyl works great on the white ones. I would suggest a lower concentration, like 70% on the black ones, to avoid taking the black color out of the mesh. Don't ask how I found that one out. You know, for the first year-ish, you could use 99% on both of them without a problem. But I went and recently tried to clean a black one with some 99% before sending it back to someone, and it took the color out. There was a white spot on there where I had tried to clean it. So I ended up taking the whole mesh off and replacing it for them before sending it back, but it still kind of sucked. Never had that problem until then. And that might only be a problem on that one with where it was. Maybe it sat in the sun for so long and degraded the mesh to the point where, heck, even water would take the color out. I mean, I could try. I could just give it a rinse in the sink and see if more comes out to validate that theory. I still had it sitting around here somewhere, but and then don't use colored rags or anything with color in it in conjunction with rubbing alcohol to clean the mesh, because the color will rub off of that onto your mesh. Much more noticeable on the white ones than the black ones. I mean, you can practically get away with like the yellow microfiber cloths on the black mesh, but don't try it on the white mesh unless you want to make the whole thing look yellow, like ugly yellow too. But a white cloth, also Q-tips, and light, gentle force. You don't want to scrub too abrasively, or you'll separate the layers and it'll look awful. Yeah, spot on. That liquid you saw is for the adhesive that holds this basket that we're trying to pry off. And usually it makes it a lot easier. But did I even put it down this time? I'm still a little out of it from being sick, so I mean, I don't even remember what I did 10 seconds ago sometimes when I get sick like this. No, I see it in there. Like, I'm pretty sure I put the alcohol in there. I'm just questioning it because of how difficult this is right now. What the heck? This sucker's glued in there. Yeah. No, we definitely... That one was definitely just stuck in there. Subwoofer smells fine, no problems there. And then, if we can, I like to peel all of this adhesive off, but sometimes it's stuck on there so well that it's more trouble than it's worth. I just like to make sure none of it like prevents the top basket from at least sitting nice and flush. Here we go, fart filters first, and then that dead diode. You don't want too much solder on those pads. What'll happen is it'll kind of squish out, blob out. and then its neighboring capacitor will suck itself up in there and get nice and cozy. And then you've got two little caps being best buds that shouldn't be. Let's get a little more on there. Never have too much of this stuff, even if it smells like sweaty armpits. I don't know. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. I wonder if they reformulated the flux or something, or if I just got a bad tube. But I'm almost out of this stuff, so I guess we'll find out soon. It used to smell real good. But now I just feel sad for the cancer I'm giving myself. So like I was saying, if you've got too big of a blob, what could happen is, like, for example, these two will suck up together, and you don't want them touching. Alright. That is a fine set of filters if you ask me. Let's flip that around and take care of the dead diode. 8K dated, of course. I can see it through those blurry lines. There it is. Let's go ahead and multitask here, get our new diode fluxed up. Put a little on here. What time is it here now? It's 2:30 p.m. We're in the Pacific time zone of Bellevue, Washington. I start my workday super early so I can get an early afternoon break to knock out some HomePod repairs, and then I'm usually back at it doing work from home afterwards for a little bit. No one cares as long as I'm where I need to be when people need me, and I get stuff done. Half of my time these days at my day job has really been nighttime support for folks overseas, so it all works out pretty well for me. It does make it difficult though, because I do like to help out a lot with daytime support too. So I end up doing a lot more. I end up doing a lot more work than I really need to be. And that's not even talking about HomePods. We just squeeze these in when we've got the time. Do I use ventilation for the leaded solder? Yes, I do. I need to get better ventilation. What I need is a proper fumigator that's got like the tube that shoots it out my window. But for now, what I've got is a fan right behind me that blows everything up here. And then right here, you can't see it, but I've got a big, like 28-inch HEPA filter that sucks everything up. It's not a perfect system, and it's not something I recommend you go and do for your health's sake. But I was looking for some sort of fume extractor actually recently, and I had a crazy idea. On eBay right now, there's an Apple prototype like picker arm. I think it was like a robot arm that was used to move parts around during manufacturing at Apple. But I think in the description, like the guy mentioned, using it for some cool DIY project like a fume extractor. I'm very tempted to get that and do that. It'd be very befitting of our setup here to have a prototype Apple picker arm as a fume extractor while we work on our HomePod repairs. I used to have a little desktop fume extractor, and believe it or not, people complained about it. They were like, "Oh, why are you using a fume extractor? Or why do we have to listen to the fume extractor?" And it's like, my guy. I gave it to my wife because she does nails. if you think I'm bad at the fumigation, boy, let me tell you, a few weeks ago at my day job, one of my coworkers, and might I no, this isn't just any coworker. This is one of the founders of the company. One of the first 3 people to start this company like 15-ish years ago. A little longer than that, I think now. I've been there for 11 years. But anyways, this guy is like, hey, we got these new modem cards. I accidentally broke the little antenna connector off of it, and I ordered some replacements, and I got a new soldering iron, and I'm gonna try to fix it. And I was like, okay, good luck. QA gave me one with the same problem, and I've got a hot air station at home. I can just whip that out real quick, no problem. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna, bring my stuff in tomorrow, and I'm gonna try it myself too. He brings his stuff in to his office, his enclosed office. It's smaller than my room. It's about a quarter the size of my room. Big enough for, about 3 computer desks. And he brings a soldering iron in there with a magnifying glass, and that's it. No fumigation, no filtering, no nothing. And I catch word that he's about to start, and I get excited. I'm like, oh, I want to see how he does this. And I go down there, and I see that he's in the room, like, totally closed off, and no air moving whatsoever. And I'm like, whoa, guy. Let's at least move this into the warehouse or something. He didn't move it, and he still does soldering in there. I told him, I was like, don't do this. Or at least get a dinky little desktop extractor like I had. No one's gonna complain about the noise. But at this point, I think the dude's too old to care. Something else will get to him before that will. Me, on the other hand, I got time. And frankly, so do other people in the office. So when that stuff, wafts out of his office or gets, propagates through the rest of the office, everyone else is going to be breathing it in. My janky little setup here seems to work surprisingly well because I can't smell any of the solder. I can sometimes get a whiff of the flux, of course, because it's pretty potent, but I never actually smell the solder unless I'm like leaning right over it. Don't do that. Oh, and this is the same coworker that, like, 6-7 years ago, it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. It was a late day at the office. It was getting pretty cold. It was one of those nights. So I went out to my car and started it up. Came back inside to let it warm up. It was my Red Z there, and I was talking with a few coworkers, just shooting some shit, waiting for my car to warm up, basically, so I could head home. And I swear I hear it start to drive off. And I look out the window, and sure enough, someone is, like, I see my car just leaving the parking lot. You hadn't ever seen me run faster in my life. I bolted out the door, and I was literally halfway through the roof of my car before I had realized it was said coworker that had thought it'd be funny to move my car while I was letting it warm up and inside. Goodness, what a guy. What a guy.
I'm having trouble connecting to the...
I didn't get upset at him about it. He's one of the few people I would let get away with that. Because he used to own one of those cars. So, I figured he wasn't gonna mess it up or anything. Alright, the last one I think we're going to get to today. Let's shoot them an email. No power first gen. All right. This is one heck of a box. I'm not actually sure how I'm supposed to open this. Yes. We've got a return label. Very nice. There we go. All right. The usual dead diode symptoms, it appears to me. Let's crack it open. Other workplace shenanigans include an ongoing $1,000 bet with the second of 3 founders of the business. It will be about, I want to say 8 or 9 years ago when I had met my girlfriend, and I was raving all about her. And boss man says, I'll bet you $1,000 your relationship won't last 10 years. Young, dumb, and naive me took him up on that bet. Pretty much immediately. And he said that he said that I'm dumb because, or it's a stupid bet because it's pretty much a win-win for him. In a sense, the way he looks at it, at least, because the longer I take to lose if I do, he's betting on, me failing 7, 8, 9 years into the bet. And by then, if I do fail, like something about inflation and $1,000 won't be as much to him then, but the sooner I fail, then the sooner he gets the $1,000, that'll be worth more. We're 8 years or so into that, and we've got our first kid. She's almost 2. I think I'm gonna get me that $1,000. And if you ask me, 2 more years, I think $1,000 will still be worth quite a bit. Lest we forget, when I started working there, I wasn't even 21 yet. And these guys love their alcohol. Jeez. So, at the end of a workday, they're always taking shots and drinking. And when I turned 21, they gave me this shot of like the strongest and nastiest like rice vodka. It was in this small, very small clay jar that you couldn't see through. It smelled awful. It tasted awful. Some sort of initiation thing for them. That year, we had a Christmas party. It was a boat cruise, and they had practically unlimited drinks. I mean, they gave you 2 drink tickets, but we had bought way too many drink tickets, so everybody ended up with practically as many as you could stomach, and then more, if you could make room for it. Oh, I think that was one of the drunkest I'd ever gotten. You won't remember the bet. Yeah, chances are. Chances are. He probably planned, he anticipated, and whether it will be deliberate forgetfulness or not when that time comes, but maybe as soon as he made that bet with me, he figured in his head, he was like, I'm just gonna forget about it, and then if he ever brings it up, that's just what I'm gonna say. And that's that. Smooth move. 1 second. Figured you guys don't want to hear me coughing. Up close, let's do a little bit of maintenance first with some new fart filters. You like the stories? I'll save what happened to my hair for another stream. Blech. All right. Let's get that dead diode out of here so this thing can power on again. Looks like a 6K or 6K. Yes, indeed. Nick's fix. Hands so fast. He tins the diode and gets it back on there before the hot air gun has a chance to cool back down. Nick's fix. He'll get your HomePod working again faster than you can get checked into the Apple Store for your appointment. Just for them to tell you they can't do anything about it. Nick's fix. And don't worry, if you miss it, it's mostly going to be clickbait anyways. Alex, welcome back. Hope your HomePods are all doing well. Only the expected kind. How's 18 been treating you? It's been working perfectly fine for me. I see a fair number of complaints from others on Reddit, but the 18 update's been working just fine for me personally. I think that's about all the energy I've got to fix today. We'll save Joe and Walters for tomorrow. I think a few more showed up at my mailbox. I just haven't had a chance to run down there and pick them up today.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Very good, very good.
I'm having trouble.
Alright. Folks, that's all I'm gonna fix up for today. I hope you all enjoyed this live stream repair, and I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.